Welcome back, everybody, to this week's episode of Standout Women Live. I'm your host, Michelle B Griffin, and today's a very important topic. I am so excited and to welcome to the show SusanSiravo. Welcome.
Hi, Michelle. Thanks so much for having me.
Did I get your name right? Did I
You
pronounce that
did.
right?
You
Okay, good.
did. Not
Because one of
everyone
the
does, but you did.
I am so glad because I forgot to ask in the green room, and I don't know if you've ever
Yeah.
heard me mentioned, but one of my, I cannot stand when I mispronounce someone's name. Like it just kills me inside. So I'm glad I nailed it on the first try. But no, we are here today to talk about a topic that you hear a lot: be confident on camera, all these things, but we're taking it in a whole new avenue because you know what? It's not just about being confident on camera to market yourself on social media. This takes a whole new level when you think about it this way that, leaders are great communicators. When you are a strong presenter, you talk well, present well, your ideas get heard. Change happens. People are more willing to listen. And so I wanted to bring Susan to the show. She's going to tell us a little bit about her background, her new course, and why this is so important. And to be honest, to give us some of these industry secrets that I'm hoping she's going to spill so that we can all look really good on camera. So, Susan, for those who haven't met you yet, tell us a little bit about your background.
Well, Michelle, I started my career in TV news and I was a producer, reporter, anchor. I did that for a little over a decade. And then I moved into PR and marketing. And I've been doing that ever since. After I left news, I went to work for a public agency. And then after that, I came to Comerica, a regional bank. And right now, I run social media for the bank, which I love. It's a wonderful program that we have. And then I also have a side business where I coach people on how to show up as their best on camera. And the reason I started the side business is because during the pandemic, as you know, everything in person went away and we were starting to do everything online and using Zoom and Teams and Google Meets and all the platforms. And a lot of people just didn't really have the skills to show up like a boss on camera. So I started helping people to do that. And it's been a lot of fun ever since. And recently I decided to create a course, Don't Be a Deer in the Headlights.
Mhm.
And that is because I still get a lot of emails and DMs from people asking for tips here and there, whether it's about a camera or lighting or how to not be nervous or how to speak more concisely. And I thought, you know what? I'm just going to take all of my ideas and my tips. I'm going to put them together in one course. There's about 15 videos, and the whole course is just over an hour. So I just send the link to people when they have questions. They watch the course. Pretty much covers most of the bases. Not all of it, but most of the bases.
Well, I know we're not here to, like just sell it, but I've seen it. I've been able to take many of the, lessons. And the minute I opened this course, I had never actually seen you on camera. I didn't even know you were, had this TV background. And the minute, I started watching your course, I'm like, wow, Susan's so good on camera. And, you see a lot of people on camera, like, she's really polished. She really is so pro. And I was like, wow. And then you mentioned somewhere in the intro, and then it just got, and the more I listen to this and then why we're talking today is like, you know what? We all need this. This isn't just get on video. You see this on LinkedIn, get on video and promote yourself. Yeah, that's important. Totally important. I don't care if you have your own business or you're in corporate America. Everyone needs to have a presence. And that is something more than just being confident on camera, because what you talk about in this course are some of the things that I'm sure you learned in, becoming in broadcast journalism school and, as a reporter, anchor, and all that. But the main thing is what we were talking about this in the green room is to really just know how to have a presence. Is it something that we can learn, or where do we start?
Absolutely. And we learned this in broadcasting, that you have to have a lot of energy, you have to have enthusiasm. Otherwise, whoever's watching you isn't going to care, right? Because if you show
Mhm.
up on camera and you're monotone and you just don't seem like you're that into it, why would anyone pay attention? And when you think about how we consume video, let's say you're watching a presentation or a webinar, mean, people are scrolling on their phones, they're looking at their email, their mind is somewhere else. So if you're not really captivating on camera, then people are just going to tune out, and we don't want that. So when I talk about having a presence, I mentioned in the course that I think that being good on camera is kind of like the new FaceTime. And I
Mhm.
didn't mean like the FaceTime app. What I mean is, like, in the old days, it would be like, okay, if you were in the office a lot, and the higher ups were there, and you had FaceTime, right? Because they saw you and you interacted, you're at the water cooler getting coffee. But now that so many people work remote or work remotely some of the time, you don't have that face-to-face interaction with other leaders in your company or other clients, prospects, whatever your business is. So that time that you have on when you're on Teams or you're on Zoom, that's your FaceTime. That's your opportunity to put your best foot forward and have that face-to-face with people and make that connection. So that's why even just a regular meeting or a sales call, whatever you have going on, why not show up as your best?
I love that. And, I want to add another part of this. You mentioned since the pandemic and we're more remote, even in the last year and a half since the advent of AI and the scary stuff that can come down, the fakes and all that, and of course now written content is such a commodity, right? In this flip of a millisecond, you can get whatever. And we now need to be very strong on video and camera, have a presence because we need that connection, that human connection more than ever to know that, hey, that is us. We are the, thought leader. We say we are, this stuff is ours, but also just because goodness gracious, we have too much AI stuff and I'm just calling for more human connection because of it. So, this presence is so electrifying in the best way when you see that humanism. And so I really think that's another cause for, presence. Definitely making it like a muscle. Just train it, train it,
Mhm.
train it. Because I know we also talked about this. Some people will just say, I don't have the personality for
Mhm.
camera. What do you say to those people?
Well, this also goes to people who may be introverts, because it
Mhm.
seems like nowadays in business, if you're an extrovert, maybe you might have a leg up on introverts because let's say you have that bubbly personality or you're really good with people and all. But I would say being on camera, that's kind of anybody can do it, because remember, you're not talking to a huge audience. Like, you're not on a stage. This is just you and I together, Michelle, and we are both looking at our cameras and we're talking. So whether I'm an
Mhm.
extrovert or an introvert, it's just me in a room looking at a camera. So like I say in my course, the best way to get that pizzazz when you're on camera is to just practice. And when I was first getting my start in news, we didn't have phones with the cameras on. It was quite a while ago, but I had like an old school camcorder. So I put that up on a tripod, and then I would just talk to the camera. Maybe I would read the newspaper, or I would say something, I would tell a story, whatever, just so that I got comfortable looking at the camera and being expressive or demonstrative, being able to tell a story, and got comfortable with that, because that's really what we're talking about, is just
Mhm.
comfort level. People don't have the comfort level, but like anything, it's like riding a bike. Once you do it
Mhm.
long enough or often enough, the repetition, that's what makes you more confident and gives you that comfortability.
I agree on that, and I even think having a place where maybe you can either stand up. I prefer to stand up, but sit down.
Mhm.
I think that's completely different than say like holding your phone selfie. That's too awkward. Like I think you probably need a real place where your camera's filming you and
Mhm.
you can critique it and just get those reps in. What are your thoughts about, now there's technology where say if you're going to practice, either you ad lib it or maybe there's a script and
Mhm.
there's a teleprompter, probably what you read back in the day, but now there's teleprompters that will even train your eye to look even if you're not looking. So what are your thoughts
Yes.
about tools like that to help you with your comfort level and practice?
I think you should do both. I think you should practice talking to the camera. Just get a tripod. And I mentioned this in
Mhm.
the course. There's tripods on Amazon for, I don't know, $15, $20, where you
Mhm.
just get a tripod, put your phone on the tripod, and then hit video, talk to the camera, tell a story, tell a funny like story from high school or something that your kids did that was funny, and just kind of get used to that. And then also try the teleprompter apps where
Mhm.
you download a script, write a script, and then upload it to the teleprompter app, and then have it on your camera. And I'll show you just like with my camera here. Let's say the lens of the camera is right here, so
Mhm.
that the words are going to be right there, and they're going to scroll right there. So it looks like you're looking at the camera, and you can learn how to read moving words. It's a little daunting at first, but like everything else, once you get
Mhm.
used to it, you can do it. So if you have a recorded video that's maybe 2 minutes or more,
Mhm.
and you need to say something exactly, then use the teleprompter app, record it with a teleprompter, get comfortable with it, great. But also learn to ad lib as well, so that you can do both depending on what the need is. Sometimes we just need to record a video that's short, no big deal. Sometimes we're going to be on a live stream like this where we wouldn't use a teleprompter because we're ad libbing our Q&A together. Or if you're
Mhm.
doing a webinar, you're not going to say everything word for word.
No, exactly, because there's this context for everything.
Right.
This might be a great place to ask the question that, I think some of us, myself included, I'm always working on this, so I'm not pointing fingers, is learning to talk in sound bites. To me, that is, interviewing a lot of people, no fingers pointed. And I think a lot of it's nerves. Some people over talking or talking too
Yeah.
long or saying something again and again and again and again and again. I'm making a case in point here, but you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Cut to the chase. So what's your best industry tips on how to talk in sound bites?
We have to remember that it's important to make your point and then stop talking. Like, why do we continue to talk after we make our point? Maybe because we think it makes us sound more knowledgeable or smarter that we keep talking. They're all different reasons. And maybe we are afraid that there's going to be some awkward silence. But I would say when you have something that you're going to get across, a certain message, let's say you have an important meeting coming up or an important phone call, talk it over with yourself before and figure out how to make those points in a few short sentences. And that might be you just like while you're on a walk, kind of talking to
Hmm.
yourself. Hopefully no one will think you're weird, but if so, whatever. Or if you're in your car, just figure out how to make your points in short sentences and then stop talking, wait for the other people to reply. Now, we do that when we ask questions too. I found myself doing that, where I would ask the question and then I keep talking and the person's like waiting to reply, but like, okay, I got to stop talking now. So we all do it. It's just a matter of being aware and making an effort to try to stop doing it.
Oh, I'm guilty of it too, and that's something I've gotta learn too. So, getting out there, none of us improve anything by just wanting, wishing, and reading about it. You've gotta actually do the reps, and that's why your course is so good because you really show us how to do this and really bite-sized things, and that's the thing. When we're practicing on anything, we can get so caught up in the weeds on how to do something, but in your case, at the end of the day, get a tripod and just start practicing.
Yeah.
So, what do you think after that? Once we practice, what are your next tips on, after we've assessed and practiced our videos? Where do we go from there?
Well, a couple things. Let's talk about PowerPoint slides. So
Oh,
most
yes.
presentations, we have PowerPoint slides. And we've all seen this where we spend so much time tweaking those slides and then getting other people to look at them, getting opinions.
Yes.
And they go through a long approval process and it's all about the slides, but we haven't rehearsed what we're actually going to say. So that's something that we need to do. Figure out what are we going to say? And then so the slides are accompanying what you're going to say, but you're the main show, not the slides. So I would say that it's important to figure out what you're going to say for each slide. And then when you're practicing, time yourself and record yourself. So you can record on Zoom or any of the platforms, do your presentation or your 2-minute talk, whatever it is, record yourself and then watch it. You'd be surprised if I were to say, okay, I need you to talk for 2 minutes. A lot of people would say, okay, and then they would talk for 5 minutes. And I
Yeah.
would say, well, you talk for 5 minutes. They go, what? What do you mean? No, I hardly talked at all. Because we don't have necessarily an awareness of how long it's taking us to make our point.
So true, because every time I do one of these live shows, it seems like we're on air 5 minutes. I'm sure that's how it was when
Yeah.
you did the news.
Right.
One good tip that came to mind. I don't know. I haven't finished the entire course, so you may have talked about this, but it just reminded me that Canva has a really good. You can do your slides in Canva, and
Yes.
you can record yourself and then play it back. And so that's an excellent idea. You are so right. I'm so glad you brought up PowerPoint. You're so right. It's not the slide. In fact, I believe too many of us put too much in slides where we want to, and nothing is worse than when you go to a presentation and people just reads the slides to you. To me, that's a disservice. It shouldn't even be allowed. It should not be allowed. My favorite slides are like one picture, one word. And so you're intrigued, and then the person sets the stage. So that's a wonderful, wonderful way to do it. But you got to practice that too. So now that we know, forget the slides, it's we're the star. Let's really hone our message, get really succinct in the time and the delivery. Where do we go from there?
Well, I say in the course that it's good to get feedback from other people. And that could be a coworker or a manager or just a friend that you trust, some sort of colleague, to give you that feedback and say, hey, you know what? You're not going to hurt my feelings. I just need to know, what do you think of how I'm doing here? And ask for honesty. And people can tell you things like, well, this part was a little slow, or I kind of tuned out during this part, or this part was, you didn't go into enough detail. I wasn't really sure what you were talking about. It was a little bit confusing. Or they might say, I don't know where you're, like, where are you looking? You're looking in the wrong spot, or you're talking too fast. You're talking too slow. Who knows? We just don't know until we get feedback from other people. And when I first started in the news business, we would have consultants come in, and it was a little scary because they would take copies of the live presentations that you did and just go through them with you, and then just point out everything that you needed to do better. But they were professionals. They worked with people all over the country. So you had to just kind of check your ego at the door and
Mhm.
say, okay, I'm here to learn. I'm here to improve. So just tell it, say it like it is.
Well, when you think about any, person who's trying to get to the next level, Hollywood actors, athletes, we all hire coaches and people to point out what we don't see in ourselves. And that's essentially what it is. It's nothing personal. They're here for professional reason to help to strengthen you. So I love that. And I understand you do that as well with some of your clients on a case by case basis. Is that correct?
Yeah, some of them I will just take a look at videos. Maybe they've served on an industry panel, or maybe they've had a media interview, or just a social media video that they've put out. And I'll take a look at that, and I can just go through a quick checklist of tweaks that they need to do and improve really quickly. So oftentimes people are really close to being great. They just need
Mm.
a little boost in a couple different areas, and then they're good to go.
Wow, that's a line. People are so close to being great. Oh my goodness. When you think about that, we probably all are at some point, but unless we take that extra step, get that help, put the reps in and practice, we're never going to get to where that close.
Yeah.
We're going to be that much closer. That's really powerful. I love
Well,
that. My background's in communication, not media or news, but I have a undergraduate and a master's in PR and undergraduate in advertising. So communications, I've always been such a stickler because I know the power of communication. And I love that you're doing this for today's times. And
mhm.
it's not just for social media. Thank you for pointing that out, because I think a lot of people, and maybe you find this for your corporate clients, do they say, well, I don't have my own business. I don't need to be on social media. So how do you counter that? Because I know we talk about Zoom, but do they even think that, yes, with a little bit of prep that I can be really, really good and perhaps someday do that social media video? What do you tell people?
Well, usually the people that come to me, it's a referral from someone who's working with them that is
Mhm.
saying, listen, this person that I'm working with is really close to being great, and they need to get to that next step. Why don't you have a chat with them? So that's usually kind of how it comes about. But there's one other thing that I wanted to mention, Michelle. I had seen a
Yeah.
social media post that you put out a while ago, and I've quoted this before too, is that you said visibility isn't vanity.
Yes.
Remember that?
Yes. I
I think
say it a
that's really,
lot.
yeah, I think that's really important because people get nervous about video putting themselves out there. And it's natural. We all do, right?
Yes.
Especially when we do a video and then we hit post or like, oh, but becoming more visible is helpful for your career the way it is nowadays because you get more exposure. People notice you. You look and sound like a leader. They start looking at you a little bit differently.
Hmm.
So it's important to be visible, and to do it with video amps up things even more.
Yeah, my favorite line, I see it everywhere. It's in the book coming out in the fall. Visibility is not vanity. Visibility is being valuable. You have an expertise, message, a unique take and point of view, especially these days, that we need to hear. And, especially in the corporate world, if you're just thinking, oh, that's for, entrepreneurs or whatever. No, that it's insurance. It's an insurance, professional insurance by being visible. And it's really opportunity, it's profitability, it's all the things that come your way when people see you. And as you say, you look and sound like a leader, icing on the cake. That's just, they go hand in hand. So I'm glad you brought that up.
Mhm.
And it's the whole take on why we're here today is because, these are all just crutches like, oh, I'm not good on camera. Anything can be learned for the most part,
Mhm.
and with the right mindset and within reason, most things can be learned and applied and realize how much it benefits you. So that's
Mhm.
so important. So as we continue and we wrap up some before we close today, any more industry secrets? I kind of teased that you were going to help us behind the scenes know that we could learn to hone our craft.
Yeah, well, the speaking in sound bites, like you mentioned,
Hmm.
here's why that's really important nowadays because of social media, especially short form video like TikTok, Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts. So a lot of people are on podcasts, LinkedIn Lives, video podcasts, and you have the ability to take those clips and post them on short form video social media sites and get a lot of recognition for that. But you have to be able to make your point in less than a minute or less than
Yeah.
30 seconds. So if you are able to do that, maybe you did a 20-minute interview or 30-minute interview, you could have 5, 6, 10 clips from that one interview that you can put out on all these social media sites for people to see you and discover you. So that's why it's another reason why you should speak in sound bites. And I
Oh,
would say,
absolutely.
in terms of secret, I would just say the lighting and camera, audio, that's all really important. And I have a couple videos at the beginning of the course on those. I know some people feel like, well, I have the video or I have the camera on my laptop. It's okay.
Mm-mm.
Like they look, it's like, oh, it's good enough. But no, invest in a webcam. Maybe if you have a brand new Mac, maybe that camera is good enough. But invest in a webcam. You might need an external mic, maybe not. Invest in some lights. Lights have never been cheaper that you can get
Mm-mm.
on Amazon so that you're well lit, your video and audio quality are great. I mean, that will put you head and shoulders above the rest because when you hop on a Zoom call and you're looking like you're like could be on a broadcast, people are like, "Oh, well this person means business."
Oh, it's an important first impression. And, I have two new Macs, and trust me, the Mac camera isn't as good as, I swear by the Logitech Brio, and it makes everyone look good. It's another professional insurance, just like you would do XYZ for classes. I mean, you buy these once and you rarely need to upgrade them,
Yeah.
and lights are very inexpensive, the camera, and then, even microphones. You could go from the very low end to very, very high, but without, I think sound to me is probably the most critical. Of course, they all come into play, but if you can't hear you, worked so hard to do all this and you can't hear you, such a disservice to all the work you're doing. So I love that you do that. It's never been an easier time and
Mhm.
more economical time to invest in those things. And as you say, they're just really to increase your career, credibility. And
Yeah.
so as we finish up today, we have just a few more minutes. Please
Actually,
tell
Michelle, I did
every.
have one more tip.
Oh, please tell us. I want to hear them all.
Okay. Getting to the point is very important if you want to hold people's interests. So I'll give you an example. When you watch a local newscast, and let's say the reporter is out in the field. So usually the anchor has 10 seconds to introduce a story, 10 seconds to introduce the reporter. Then the reporter has about 15 seconds to introduce their story. And then their story that's on tape where they have sound bites and narration. Those are usually about a minute 15 to a minute 30. And then you come back and the reporter has about 15, 20 seconds to wrap up and toss it back to the anchor desk. So if you think about that, the whole story, the whole entire story can be told in 2 minutes or less. And that's because they cut out all the fluff.
Mm-hmm.
And we just know that with a newscast, they keep a certain pace. It's like some stories are 45 seconds, some stories are a minute, some stories are 2 minutes, and then they do the tease and they get to the commercial. But the pace is very quick. So we don't need to do that type of a pace when we do presentations or PowerPoints. But if we go in with that mindset that the audience can turn the channel at any moment because they're just not engaged and go somewhere else, then it will force us to make our presentations or our talks more interesting, where we're really efficient with every word and every sentence.
I agree. So we don't have to, I think you said this in the course, don't come to the camera. Hey there, just cut to the chase, right? Just go straight to the point. That's another course. That's your second course right there. How to, do a presentation like a TV news show. That's get rid of the fluff. That's course number 2. I'm signing up for that one. So good.
Okay.
But no, you have spilled so many industry secrets. This has been phenomenal. I'm geeking out on all of this because I think probably secretly I wanted to be a news anchor back in the day. I don't know. I just find it so fascinating.
You still
But
could. There's still
yeah,
time.
right. I guess I'm doing it with my LinkedIn live show. I guess
Yeah.
we'll see. But for those who want to learn more about your media training business, the course, where can they find you and connect with you, Susan?
I do have my course on my LinkedIn profile, but can we put it in the comments for?
Absolutely. And then when this goes to the podcast, we'll put it in the show notes as well.
Okay. Yeah. So I have the course on ThriveCart, and it's just a link you can click on and then register the course. It's free. Like I said, it's an hour and 2 minutes, so pretty quick. And you could just watch the videos that are relevant to you right now and come back and watch the others that might be relevant at a later date, whatever works.
And this is incredible. Did you hear the word free? Susan is providing this for free, at least for now. So if you're interested, run, don't walk, run and go get this invaluable course. It's just tremendous. So it's very generous. And then tell us again where your website is to learn more about your other services.
Yeah. SusanSiravo.com is my website.
Okay.
Yeah,
easy
but I
enough.
have everything on my LinkedIn profile, so it's easy just to go from LinkedIn. It's fine.
And then follow Susan on LinkedIn because I know because you work in are head of social media, you do post pretty regularly, right? On LinkedIn. Okay. And for your stuff and then the bank, I think you do a really good job on that too, because I think if you're always showing pictures, I love the pictures. You're always meeting people, I guess, in your job. You do a good job about sharing what you do behind the scenes at the bank. So I think that's fascinating. So if you want to learn about social media posting from a media perspective, definitely give Susan a follow. Susan, this has been, I know, I think you've been in the community like 3 years or something. I'm so glad we finally got a chance to meet, and this has been incredible. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Michelle. It's been fun.
It's been awesome. All right, everybody, that's it for this week. Until next time, keep putting yourself out there. You have a brand to build, a message to share, and people to impact. We'll catch you next time. Take care.